Welcome to another episode of Tech with Binga. My name is Binga Ayelabola. In this video tutorial, I would walk you through the process of creating a date table within your Nest data analysis project. If you are visiting this channel for the very first time, please hit the subscribe button and turn on the post notification. And of course, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for showing up again. Let's get into the business of the day. So, in guiding us towards that, we'll just look at briefly an introduction into the date dimension table. What does it really mean, and how can you leverage its benefits within your Nest project? What is a date dimension table? So, typically, a date dimension table allows you to be able to have time series data, right, within your data analysis project. This allows you to be able to capture everything around your data with respect to date as it may be. So, for instance, if I've got a project that I'm working on, a data analysis project that has to do with sales or finance or production or several other things or budgeting, it might be important to you or to the business and the stakeholders for those projects to be able to drill down into years, into days, into months, into quarter, into holidays, right? And see its impact or the impact of these several date functions with respect to sales, with respect to finance, with respect to production, with respect to budgeting, right? It might be important or integral to the business to understand what is the impact of certain dates or certain quarter to my data. So that is where a date dimension table comes in, right, within your project. So in understanding the importance of a dates table within your project, it is important that you understand, right, that whenever you need or are interested in drilling down, in other words, in getting to a granular point of your data where you can understand what year, what month, what quarter, what week, what day, what holiday has any impact to the data I'm working on. So it is important that whenever you need to get down to drill down your data and get to the granular element within your data and its impact with respect to dates and the data, what comes in handy for you, right, is your date dimension table. So if you look at this typical graph, right, this typical chart, which shows the various categories of data points, and you would see that if I built into this data and I had my time series or date series, that could help you, to uncover several insights in your sales, right? So if I want to get, for instance, what is the sales trend with respect to certain days, be it holidays, right? I want to understand when at what period was did I record the highest sale, right, within my data. So that might not be possible if you are referring back to the dates within your data without you building a separate date table that can allow you to drill down to the barest granularity within your data points. So this will be very helpful for you in uncovering insight around your data. Another important thing that you'll find out around the dates table is the fact that filtering and slicing your data becomes out of the box, right? It gets to become an out of the box feature. The fact that you're able to, let's say you're looking at this typical column stacked chart with a line chart, right? You would notice that with the granularity that are built into this data, this chart that you're looking at, with respect to dates, right? I can drill down to know the peak period, and I can look at the relationship between, say, typically your sales and your discounts, for instance, with respect to different market segments or segments that you've got within your data. So filtering and slicing can be an important part of your business objective, right? With a business, with the business data that you're working with. So it might be interesting to the stakeholders within your business, or within the project that you're working on, to understand, for instance, how they can slice down your data into different periods, right? Into year, into quarter, into months, into end of week, into holiday periods and all of that. So all of these possibilities or capability that exists within your data comes in handy because you're leveraging the benefit or the impact of creating a separate date table within your projects or within your data sets. Time-based calculations can be an important thing to have, right? Or an important feature to build into your data set, especially when you're creating your data driven solutions. So your date dimension table, for instance, gives the analyst that environment or that possibility, that capability to be able to use different, time-based calculations. It could be comparing year to year, comparing quarter to quarter, comparing quarter to quarter, and averages or cumulative total, for instance, are some of those, calculations or date calculations that you want to build into your project. But with a date table in place and in your project, that comes in pretty easy, right? Because the fact that you're able to then understand seasonality, for instance, you're able to understand pattern, you're able to understand what is the long term, what is the short term, what is the mid-term trends in my data. And I'm looking at a time series, which allows you to be able to compare quarter to quarter, year to year, month to month, holiday periods in one year to holiday period in another year. That allows you to be able to understand seasonality, understand patterns, and ultimately help you to build what you can call, your correlation trend. Integrations with your Power BI, right, will be seamless if you have a date table. So if I have my dimensional model that I've created, right, which is what you would see presently, and I'm interested in incorporating my date table to it. It is very seamless and very easy, because by the time you have created a separate table, you can then point that table, that date element within that date table, and point it to specific date attributes within your fact table, for instance. So if you're looking at this data, for instance, so I've got my single fact table of orders in the middle, and I've got a few other dimension tables like returns and people pointing to various entities within the orders table. And with the introduction of a date table model, I can easily point your date, for instance, and point it to, say, order date, or point it to whatever date element that you have, or ship date that you have within your orders fact table. And that allows you to be able to drill down, for instance, into the day of week where sales were made, into the month number, into the national holiday period, to the quarter, to week number, and ultimately to the year. So this is very seamless, and it's an out of the box integrations by the time you achieve, or by the time you create or trigger a dim date. This is a dimension table for date within your project. So let's get into the business of the day. So to follow this tutorial, I'm going to just quickly demonstrate using sample data, which I will leave in the description of this video to allow you to follow this video tutorial. I'm just going to load a data into my Power BI. So I'm opening my Power BI. The first thing I want to use within my Power BI is to load my data. Okay, so let's load our data into our data set. And so I'm going to pick the Excel. This is the data set, and I'm going to just load that into and transform that data within my Power Query editor. So let's check all the boxes to import the 3 data or the 3 data set within that Excel workbook. So let's transform the data to clean our data just a bit to be sure that we're all fine within the data block. So let's start with the orders date or the orders table. So this could be typically, right, your fact table, which would, there's a separate video tutorial that I created recently where I explained how you can normalize your table. So this is presently the normalized table, because I have both the measures and the categories, or what you can call the segment within this current table. Okay, so this is, you would typically want to normalize this table, right, to create a dimensional model out of this. But this is not the essence of demonstrating this video. If you're interested in following or in understanding how you can create your dimensional model within your fact table, please check my video tutorial. I created one very recently, and I can leave the video. I'll leave the link to download or to watch the video in the description of this video. Okay, so quickly, let's see how we can just tidy this data points before we start creating our date table. So to do that, I'm basically just going to quickly make some changes within my dates, within my data on the others table. So we have the row ID is fine, order ID is fine, this ship date is okay, customer name, segments, country, city, that is also fine. I'm saying they are fine because I'm checking their data type, and I'm also looking at the valid percentage, which is, as you're seeing, they're all 100% valid. So with that checked, I would also look at the second table, which is the people table. So presently, my Power BI is not detecting the appropriate headers for the table, and that's because there's no unique identifier within. There's no primary key, within this table. So I'll just promote the first row to become the first header. So I can do that by coming under your home. You will see use first row as headers, or you could also come to the small icon here and use first row as headers. Okay, so this is fine. Let's go on to check the returns. Return also is fine. No, so return is also the same problem. So let's promote the first row. Promote the first row to become the header. And then lastly, what I'm noticing here, right, is that there are 296 unique or distinct IDs, which is fine as well. So that allows you to be able to just connect the returns and the people table to the other table. So now let's trigger our table let's trigger our date dimension table. So to do that, interesting that you can follow on this premise. So if you check, let's just quickly go on to my page. So I created something within my page to allow you to download the date dimension table. So if you go on to the first, this page around Power BI date table query project, so you can click on I'm going to click on see the repository here, which will point you to a GitHub repository that I've created that would allow you to follow this video. So you can also take your time to check through. I actually made a very explanatory README file to allow you to walk through the process of creating this date table. But we're going to do that together. Never mind. So let's click on, this is where the file is, the date table that I've created. You would see where to copy the code from. This is an mQuery code, right, that has been written to allow a certain level of granularity within this date table. So I'm just going to highlight all of that until I see to the end of that code, right? So it says stop copying here. So I'm just going to stop here, and then I'll copy, or right click and copy. So I'm going to head back to my Power BI query editor. Within the Power BI query editor, let's go to new source, click on new source, select blank query, because it's an mQuery code, so you want to put it within the mQuery. So you would notice that this is blank. However, it's not blank, so you need to expand this. You would see that there's some preset code, a skeletal structure written to allow codes to push into this code block. But I'm going to clean that by highlighting and deleting, right? So highlight that and delete it, and then paste the code that I've copied. Now, this is where you want to typically make some modifications with respect to your date point. So for the purpose of this tutorial, right, and the data that I have within this sample data that I'm using, the dates or the first date in the ship or the order date, for instance, start from the year 2013. Okay, so if in your project or in your data, that first date within your data set, you see that the data start from 2014 or 2020 to 2025, this is typically where you want to make those changes. Okay, so if for instance it start from 2013 or 2015, you would have to change this one to 2015. All the elements of 2015, all the elements of 2013, you start from there, and then the next one becomes 2016. All the 2014 becomes 2016, and all the way through to the last date, which is typically the current year that we are in. And you will notice that I also added, some national holidays like the New Year's Day, the Good Friday, the Easter Monday. Just to make it simple, I made just 3 holidays period within, or 4 holiday period within each year, right? So you can you can always follow this pattern to add or incorporate additional holidays specific to your region, country, or ethnicity as it were. So that is very seamless. Just ensure that you separate them with a comma and input all of those dates into your data point. So once this has been covered and you get no error, right? This is checked, so there's no syntax error. Just click done. And as I explained to us earlier on, I have got my date period starting from 2014 or 2013 all through to maybe 2016, right? But feel free to always extend that into the future, so I can increase mine to start from 2013 all the way to 2016 or 2017 as the case may be. Okay, so this is where you want to fill the dates to start from. Okay, you can either use the calendar selector or follow the format. So I'm just going to follow the format here. So I have the first day is 01, followed by the first month, followed by the first year, which is 2013. And in this current one, I'm going to use the calendar, and I will push this all the way through to the end of this year and the last day of this year. So once I do this, I will invoke this query, and now we have an invoked function. So let's double click that to rename this and call this dim date, because this is a dimension table for dates. So I'll call it dim date, and they are all unique. So there are no repetitions across the dates that is here. So let's quickly make changes with respect to the data type, because right now the table do not come with data type. So I'm going to change this date, and let's change the date type to date. The year, let's maintain this as text. We can use text, and you can also use whole number, depends on your preference. So I'll just basically highlight the additional headers that I have here, so I can do that once rather than doing it one after the other. So hold down your control and make selection to other columns within your table, and then let's right click and change this to text as well. So I'm going to change everything to text. Great. So as you would notice, right, the national holidays table is also, or column is also included, which means your yes means that particular date is a national holiday, and if it is no, it is not a national holiday. So once we've done this, let's close and apply. I want to believe that this is very interesting to follow and quite seamless or easy as it were. So I'm going to wait for my data to load into the data pane, and now it's fully loaded. Let's check the implication of what we've done on the data model. So go to model. You see that? So your model tab has created, first has identified the orders and has identified also the people, but left out, of course, returns and dim dates. Okay, so I'm just going to connect my dim date, which is the element of date in my dim date. I'm going to connect it to the date element within my orders. Okay, so this will go, dim date will go to, let's say, order date, because that's a date function or a date element or a date type in your orders. So I'll just drag this and drop it on dates within your orders. So that creates that one-to-many relationship. That is, one unique date in my dim date can point to several records, right? There could be several transactions, there could have been several orders made on a single day, right? As it were. So that is why this is a one-to many relationship. The asterisk here means many, and the one here means one. So this is a one-to-many relationship. And then to check also for returns, I'm just going to drag orders ID and drop it on order ID. So now we have a perfect star schema that we can, of course, check within our table. So let's keep this simple. All right. So we have a perfect relationship created in our data model, and let's head back to our reports to start putting some reports together just to see the implication of what we've done with respect to its impact on our report. Okay, so let's quickly get into that. So I'm just going to use the line and stacked column chart to demonstrate that, and then we'll use table as well. So we've got this line and stacked column chart. So let's start building our data. So I'm just going to basically start with the year. So I'm going to drag my year into my x-axis, all right, and then going to follow by your quarter. So let's drag quarter. Next to that will be months. So I'm going to drag my months under it in a hierarchy. I'm basically just creating the hierarchy myself. Month number could follow, right, where I'm interested in seeing month 1, month 2, month 3, all through to month 12. So, and then day of week or week first can come in. So week number follows after number, and then next to that could be your day of week. So let's have day of week. And lastly, we would have national holiday. All right. So if we extend all of that and we start building our data into so I'm going to look for sales. Let's say we're looking for sales first. Sales would be in my y-axis, all right? And followed by that, we would look for our discounts. Let's say we're looking for discount. So we want to basically see the ratio of discounts to sales, all right? So let's say we're interested in seeing the ratio of discounts. So let's even bring discounts into the line, right? Into the line, into the line y-axis, and let's see if there are other additional data points in the others table that we can use to also demonstrate. Yeah, profit. So let's bring profit under your column y-axis, which would be like the secondary column y-axis. Now, this is what we have at the moment. All right. This is what we have at the moment. Okay, so to really bring this in, I'm going to then limit this within specific dates points. So if I drill this up a bit, all right. So if I drill this up a bit, this is drill up. I'm going back, to quarter level. So let's take it upward on the way to the year position. Okay. So within the year position, it's now making a lot of sense, right? So I'm basically now seeing the trend in quarter for each year. So quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4 for 2014. And this is the trend, right? And I'm seeing this with respect to quarter. But what if we're interested, let's say as a business owner, and I want to quickly ask you, okay, so how can we check at the points of within this, how can I see the trend of my sales and profit relative to discount with respect to the national holidays? So let's see this filter if as a business objective, because I'm seeing all the sales right now within this period. Everything is clear here. Okay, so to demonstrate that, I'll copy this code, which is click on the visual, copy the visual and paste to create a separate one to achieve that second objective. Okay, so let's see how we can achieve that second objective. Let's reduce this a bit so we can have more space, and this can follow after this. So we have this one, and now we're interested in only the sales within the national holidays to see the trend, if indeed people are really buying from the business in national holidays, and we want to look at the trend. So if I drop down the national holiday and I pick only yes means on national holidays only. So these are dates period within the national holidays only. Right now, everything is selected by default. So if I check this one, yes only. So now I am seeing that indeed there's some level of seasonality that is, happening with respect to this data. To check in that, I can always go back, drill up, for instance. So in 2015, for instance, with respect to year 2015, the discount recorded was 0.6. All right. And then, of course, looking at the sales, this is the sales recorded for that period. That is the period that have national holidays. So if you look at this, for instance, this is year. And if I'm interested in now seeing specific day, because right now we're not seeing the day, we're only seeing the year. So if I turn this drill button, turn it on, and then I begin to drill down with this, go to the next level in the hierarchy. From 2015, it goes to quarter one, it goes to April. So I have there are two specific holidays that I have recorded sales across all the years, and they are in April and in January. So you notice now that the business is recording certain sales, significant sales, within April across all the years. So this is not specific to a particular year. This is April across all the years from 2014 to 2017. And if I'm interested again in understanding the day, if I drill down, you will see that on the day 4 of the month 4, rather, this is month 4. So let's drill down a bit. So back to day, right? This is now week. So we're currently on the week level, right? So week 1, week 16, right, seems to record the highest volume of sales, and the least relative to week 17, the least sales was recorded, at this period. And as a matter of fact, there's even some the profit. Yeah, so there was loss in profit in week 17 of a particular holiday. So if I can drill down further, that allows you to begin to see that on a certain day of week, in a Monday, this business recorded, lost some sales, which is why your profit, is negative in this particular instance. So this granularity is possible because of your dim date, which you might not be able to uncover if you're to rely on the dates, right? That is within your table, within your facts, within your orders table, for instance. You will not be able to get to this level of granularity without having to add your dim date into this. Okay, so the last thing I'm going to just demonstrate, right, for the purpose of this video, okay, would be let's look at a typical table. All right, so I'm just going to create a table, a matrix table. So this is our matrix table, and again, let's quickly add our date points into the rows. So we've got we have the year. Next to the year should be the quarter, so I'm going to bring the quarter. Next to a quarter should be the months, so I'm going to bring the months. And next to the months, we could have month number. After the month number, we could have week number. After the week number, we can have, let's say we have day of week. And next to the day of week, we can have national holidays. So national holiday comes last. And now, again, if we bring in our quantitative measures, like your sales, let's bring in our sales under the values. So we have sales in value. Let's have the profit as well. So profit comes under the sum of sales again as a different value. And let's have the discount there as well. What else could we have here? So discounts, we've had the sales, we've had the... Maybe we can also look at, so we have this element here, okay? So right now, you would notice that with this, you can drill down this button, right? So if I turn this drill down button on, and I look at this 2014, for instance, so if I expand 2014, you will see that you can expand to quarter, you can expand from quarter one. I can see that specifically this number of months. So if I'm interested, let's say for instance, on only the holiday periods sales, again, we can always come back to national holidays, national holidays, and I can turn this on to yes only. So this allows you to see what is happening across the years with respect to national holidays. And you see that in Q2, this is what we saw up there. In April, I recorded in month 4, which is still April, and week 16, we recorded this sum of sales versus this profit and this discount. This discount, I believe, should be a percentage measure, right? Which you can always change on this discount. So I click the discount and I change this to percentage so that it then, show that as a percentage with respect to the data point that I have. Okay, so that is, one way that you can achieve this. One other thing I wanted to mention, for instance, is if I come back to this sum of sales, for instance, I might also be interested in looking at it with respect to segments, right, within my data. So if I'm interested in the segment, I might also be interested in looking at it with respect to segments, right, within my data. So if I'm interested in the segment within my data, we can also achieve that, by simply dragging, let's say we have a segment within our orders table. So if I drag my segment and I push that into the column legend, you then can also see, right, with respect to what is happening. So let's quickly do that. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to copy one of the charts and I'm going to paste that here. And with respect to what I'm interested in seeing, so let's just say we're interested in seeing the segment, right? So I'm going to bring in the segment. Say we're interested in segments with respect to the sales only. Okay, sales only. Let's bring in the segment into our column legend. So we're currently looking at the sales we're looking at the sales across consumer market, corporate market, home office market with respect to this period again. And if again we are interested in looking at the trend in the profit, I can also drag my profits into the second line. So that gives you that trend of profit across the market segments. So this is possible, as I explained earlier on, because of the elements of the date table which we have incorporated into this data point. Lastly, to round up this section, if you look at this data points, one other thing that we can do or achieve with respect to the drilling down of this data is, so on this table, for instance, if I'm interested in drilling down across specific areas, so with respect to, let me drill up, back up. So if I'm interested in drilling down with respect to a particular year, for instance, so if I drill down, to achieve that, let's go to your format. I'll click on format and I'll click edit interactions. All right, so I'm going to turn this edit interaction on. Now, if I pick the sum of sales within 2015, for instance, so let's click the sales in 2015, and we want to look at the impact on our other visuals. Okay, so because right now, if I click on a particular table, right, you're not seeing the impact on any of the other visuals. Okay, because I want to use this to edit and see what is changing with respect to year 2015, for instance. Okay, so if I switch after I clicked on edit interaction, and on this visual, the default view is you notice the default view is highlight. So I'm going to turn it to filter. So on filter now, I'm interested in, let's drill this back up. Let's say we're interested in quarter one. Yeah, so on quarter one, which I just clicked. So on quarter one, across all the years between 2014 and 2015, and I click on quarter one, you notice now that, okay, with respect to this market segment in quarter one, for all the years, as you've seen, 2014 to 2017, this is the impact of sales versus profits against the market segment. Okay, so if I go back or go down again from January, I can still click January, month 1, and I click further to month 1. This is Sunday. Again, remember that we have turned on our post notification. We have turned on our national holiday filters, right, within this area. So if I want to clear the filter and I see you, that will allow you to see everything. Okay, so that's one of the things you could do. So you would notice here, for instance, that in this Friday, on this day, if I click it, you will notice that there was a record of negative sales, or rather negative profit, which means there was a loss in profit in this day. And if I drill back up, you can see the week number, drill up back until you get to the quarter level, and this is a quarter to quarter performance across all the years, right? And then if you can also, of course, demonstrate that by turning on the other filters, right, so that you can use this to filter other date elements within, or other time series within your visuals. So this is one of those several ways that you can achieve time series of trends in your data. So I want to believe that we understand and see now the impact of creating or within my my project, and ultimately I want to believe that this will help you in designing a better and more intuitive and business centric visualizations in your subsequent practice. So in summary, right, I think that one of the things that you would notice around the date table is the fact that because we've created different level of granularity with respect to the year, the quarter, the month, the day of week, the national holiday, that allows your business to be able to see what should they do, how should they respond with respect to the trends, or with respect to the historical data that they've had specific to certain date series or date measures within their data, and then in turn can create something more meaningful and ultimately leverage the power of date table to create something intuitive for the stakeholders and for your business owners generally, which can guide them towards uncovering insights and making meaningful decisions within their next project. So this is the process. Please leave your comments, and of course leave your if you have questions or clarifications that you've got within this date table, please leave them within the comment section. I would always look through them and respond to them from time to time. Thank you for your time, and watch out for this space in the next series of video that I'll be releasing in short time to come.